Hey guys, another one-take review, and today I wanted to talk about the new Pusha T album, It's Almost Dry. It's Almost Dry is the fifth and latest full-length album from rapper Pusha T, as well as his first since 2018's Daytona. The aforementioned album became basically a modern classic at the speed of light, as a lot of people began deeming it almost immediately the best hip hop album to come out in the past few years, one of the best hip hop albums that come out in the past few years, etc., etc. And while, like a lot of other people, I thought that hype was going to maybe die down a little bit, maybe a year after the album was over, here we are in the year 2022, and Daytona is still highly praised, and I do think that It's Almost Dry will most likely probably get the same amount of critical praise as its predecessor. Pusha T's actual rapping is pretty excellent overall, and like on most of his previous efforts, our main MC here is very aggressive, very dark, very vicious in presentation, with some of his songs here and some of his performances here being among the most downright venomous he's delivered so far. I don't really have much to say about this particular aspect of the album. I mean, Pusha T's flow is tight, and even the most meaningless words and phrases that he spits throughout this album still carry weight behind them from the very in-your-face and powerful way that he goes about presenting himself. The features on It's Almost Dry are actually surprisingly strong too, as the record makes use of both legends of the genre like Jay-Z and Kanye, as well as some newer cats that are well on their way to being legends like Lil Uzi Vert. I mean, even Kid Cudi makes a surprise appearance on Rock and Roll, which is another song that features the aforementioned Kanye, or Ye, whatever you want to call him anymore, on it as well. I mean, generally speaking, there's just a lot of features here, and it seems almost like Pusha kind of knows exactly what artists would work well with him in the context of It's Almost Dry, like Jay-Z and Kid Cudi, and, I mean, make sure that they're here and that they, have solid verses, that they have just enough time to shine without outshining the main attraction of the album, which is, of course, him. And overall, I do think the features are surprisingly strong here. I would even go as far as to say that excluding the song Diet Coke, a solo Pusha T song, which is probably my favorite song on the album, I do think that many of the best moments on this record are actually collaborative efforts. While it usually ends up being my least favorite aspect of a lot of very similar albums, the guest verses on It's Almost Dry tend to be some of its highlights and better moments overall. The lyricism on It's Almost Dry sees Pusha T continue to refine himself as a songwriter and lyricist, and while I don't think that he's on the same level of certain peers of his, like, say, Jid or Conway the Machine, I still do think at the same time that he continues to really hone his very dark, crime-ridden, dead serious style of songwriting that is very much him and him alone. I do think it's important to note that a lot of the lyricism on It's Almost Dry don't directly reflect the man that is behind them, as a lot of the songwriting here is sort of a odd mixture between stage persona as well as genuine personality, which surprisingly works out in the end. This mixture of originality and seriousness, as well as intended tropes, makes for something that's both easy to listen to from a lyrically distant perspective, as well as something that's definitely ready for analysis in terms of songwriting. I will say that the beats here aren't the most gripping, or at least not as gripping as I would like them to be, which especially comes as a shock considering Pharrell Williams and Kanye West are the two main individuals behind this album alongside Pusha T, but nonetheless, I just think that the beats and instrumentals here could have been significantly better. I mean, the instrumentals aren't bad per se, they do their job, but that's just it. They just do their job, they move on. It's not that they don't suit Pusha T, it's not that they don't suit any of the featured artists on the album, it's not that they don't suit the album's themes. It's just that they merely exist, and then they just kind of happen, and they end, and that's it. There's nothing else to talk about them, really, which is kind of the only thing that I can talk about the beats here, the fact that there's nothing to talk about regarding them. I will say that some of the more Chipmunk Soul influence cuts here, like Diet Coke as well as Dreamin' of the Past, they're pretty fun, as they do sort of harken to the older early 2000s days of hip hop. Sort of, it makes sense, the older Kanye West days, which it makes sense considering he's executive producer here. But generally speaking, even these tracks, while fun and enjoyable, are pretty tame and light in terms of actual instrumentals, and generally don't add or detract much from the album's quality overall. I'm not saying that the instrumentals drag down the album in any way, because It's Almost Dry would be the exact same if it had worse instrumentals or anything like that. There's nothing really changing here because of the fact that the instrumentals are mediocre, but at the same time, I do think that the instrumentals had the ability to really elevate this record to the next level, maybe even the best Pusha T album, and it just, unfortunately, they fail at doing so. Overall, It's Almost Dry is a worthy, confident follow up to Daytona. While all the whispers and rumors surrounding this album's guest verses and the leaking of songs like Diet Coke definitely made me a little worried of how much this album was getting in terms of care and attention, I can firmly say that It's Almost Dry does solidify Pusha T as one of the most consistent rappers in the game right now, which is why I'm going to give it 4 stars out of 5. If the beats were just a little more directly engaging, I probably would give it higher, but since they're not, and I still do greatly enjoy this album, 4 stars out of 5. With that being said, that's the end of this review, and I'll see you guys in the next one.